You're listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
You can put it on the board. Yes!
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA, prime Angus, and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all, those massive and gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever had as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. Yes! All right, welcome in, everybody, on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Everybody also tuning in on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Charter, WOW, and independent cable television affiliates, plus Hotel TV, where applicable, around these United States of America. And everybody on Chicago Food Favorites, thanks for joining us over there as well. Fun group, folks. It's a food group. Check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. It's free. Post your favorite restaurants, your favorite recipes. Hell, make some friends and just talk to some other people there. Listen, there's a lot of fun there, and there are about 2,600 members, and I've grown it from 0. So, hey, we're trying to get to 1 million. So, I don't know. We're getting there, folks. Anyway, have some fun with it, and that's Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right. And by the way, folks, for everybody looking for a quick little getaway, how about a couple of nights in Vegas or a couple of nights in Branson, Missouri, maybe even a couple of nights in Orlando, Florida? Our friends over at Vacation Buddies have put something together for you. You got a shot to win a couple of nights in either one of those locations. And guess what? All you got to do is answer a simple trivia question. And here's the question. Which NBA superstar has 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? Call 888-576-5777 right now with your answer, 888-576-5777. If you know the answer, you may be able to pick up a couple of nights over in Las Vegas, right here where I'm at, over in Branson, Missouri, or in Orlando, Florida. That, of course, is by Vacation Buddies. And remember, although they're not affiliated with this station, they want to give you a couple of nights in one of those locations. Give them a call right now, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Call them right now, folks. All right, so let's get into it. Here we go. Thinking about Shohei Ohtani, and that's Show Me the Money, Shohei Ohtani. Hey, listen, folks, I have my opinion, and my opinion is just that. I believe personally that Shohei Ohtani was gambling, and that's how I believe the whole thing was covered up, in my opinion, of course, with the whole interpreter gambling thing with Show Me the Money, Shohei Ohtani. Look, I don't dislike him. I just think that he was gambling. And I'll think about this. That interpreter that ended up going to prison for allegedly taking some of that money and gambling some of that money, whatever that is, I don't know. Anyway, it occurs to me that the interpreter and Shohei Ohtani met where? Right here in Las Vegas on a gambling bender, in case you didn't know.
Show me the money!
That's right, folks. That's what I understand. And I understand that it was a 5-day gambling bender. Now, that's what That's what some people are saying out there. And of course, this is widely known, apparently amongst some people. Who knows? And these people are telling me, so what do I know? I'm passing it along to you. And why are we bringing up Show Me the Money, Shohei Ohtani? Well, because, yes, he's accomplishing some things in baseball, I think, that are good for the game, and some things that are questionable for the game. And the manner in which they're being accomplished, in my opinion, may be a little questionable. And you say, what's wrong with Shohei Ohtani? He's a great guy. Everybody loves the guy. Well, not everybody loves the guy. I think he's a likable guy personally. I mean, I don't know him, but how he portrays to the media, how he portrays to the fans, and how he portrays even to the opposing teams, it seems like everybody's got a lot of respect for him. And I think that's great. But the bigger question is, where are the holes in the argument? And people say, well, okay, maybe he's hitting a juiced baseball. That's personally what I think. I think he's hitting a juiced baseball. And so when we think about the home runs, it seems like home run after home run after home run and all that other stuff. It makes you wonder a little bit. It actually makes me wonder, nonetheless. And so I asked the question, well, is he hitting a juiced baseball? I mean, that's really what I want to know. And I can tell you, as a former pitcher, I'm not going to say that he is hitting a juiced baseball, but what I am going to say is every time we get and the ball leaves the yard, it seems to me like that ball flies just a little bit further. I remember when Rob Manfred came in to run Major League Baseball, there was a lot more home runs hit. And then the next year, because he was tinkering with the ball, then the next year, there were a lot less, about 50% less home runs hit. And then the next year, there weren't hit enough home runs in that second year, apparently, when they started changing the ball around. So then the home runs jumped right back up to some crazy big number. And now you got to ask yourself, how many of those home runs were hit with juiced baseballs? Oh, and by the way, folks, AAA uses the same baseball as Major League Baseball. A-ball and AA do not use that baseball. They use, apparently, the old variety of baseball. How interesting is that? So now when Shohei Ohtani hits 250 career home runs and it puts him in alleged elite company or whatever, you say, okay, well, let's take a closer look at this. Now, this is by Sports Illustrated. They say, ahead of his return to the mound, which, of course, already happened, and Dodger pitching debut, the two-way sensation continues to showcase his unique greatness. What is so unique about it? The guy's playing a position, and he's also hitting. What is the difference? You've got a position player that plays defense, and then you've got that person also hits, right? And so you take a guy by the name of Ronald Acuna Jr., who still, in my opinion, is the best player in baseball today. Not far behind is Bobby Witt Jr., a position player that does what? They also hit the ball. Well, Shohei Ohtani is a position player once every 5-6 days, whatever, just getting back into this rotation thing. And by the way, even his first outing, that we're going to talk about real soon, his first outing, believe it or not, was only 1 inning. That's right, 1 inning. So 1 inning is not really the best thing in the world, but I guess after 600 odd days between your pitching outings or something, well, so be it. Okay, so anyway, back to SI. They say, well, in December 2012, a two-way high school star named Shohei Ohtani shocked Japan by announcing he was signing with the Nippon Ham Fighters, the team that drafted him, rather than signing with a Major League Baseball team as an international free agent. And Ohtani said, quote, when they first selected me, there was zero chance of me signing with them, close quote. Now, Hideki Kuriyama, the Fighters manager, challenged Ohtani to establish himself as a two-way professional in Japan rather than accept the specialization that likely awaited him in the United States. As a matter of fact, Ohtani had said, quote, he told me that he wanted me to travel down a path no one else walked down, close quote. Well, since then, Ohtani has spent his entire professional life taking the road not taken, at least in this century. So, he did it again recently, and of course, he had his 250th home run, and all that other fun stuff. All right, so another milestone and whatnot. So, having swiped, of course, 150 career bases as well, Now I'm going to stop right there for a minute because this guy is in a very different world with bigger bases and restrictions on pitchers for throwing to first base, throwing to second base, and all this other crap. You can't just do like it used to be, like when Ricky Henderson was stealing his 1,400 plus bases. Let me tell you something. Ricky was playing as the game was meant to be played, not with all these stupid rules. And so Ohtani's got 150 bases. He stole his 150th early in the year. Who gives a damn? Because the reality is, first of all, he will never catch Ricky Henderson in stolen bases. Is that his goal? Who the hell knows? But what I do know is the stolen bases game is different. The pitching game is different. There's a lot that is different in his advantage hitter. No question. Anyway, and of course, advantage base runner. So they say, Sports Illustrated says, having swiped his 150 career base in April, Ohtani reached 250 home runs, 150 stolen bases, faster than any player in history, 945 games, 929 if you don't count the games in which he pitched but did not hit. So he leads his league in home runs, slugging, total bases, and OPS for a third straight year, while on pace to become the first player in 94 years, score 160 runs, and oh yeah, by the way, while throwing simulated games as he recovers from elbow surgery, which essentially, as I see it, is his second Tommy John surgery, but they say, oh no, that's not what it was. Okay, second elbow surgery, whatever. Okay, so you got a cubital tunnel situation. You've got the Tommy John thing, which is the ulnar nerve. All right, so you tell me what it is. Cubitals in the elbow, and the Tommy John thing is the ulnar. I don't know. We're going to get back to this when we come back from break here on the Sports Circus. This is, in my opinion, is pretty good. But listen, he is good, but a lot of this stuff is smoke and mirrors, folks. And I'm going to prove it to you when we come back. Don't go anywhere. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
If you'd like to borrow up to one...
I gotta barbecue your ass!
Leave him alone. Quiet.
Norman. Don't call me Norman. Call me Chubsy Ubsy.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Excellent.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, iHeart, Stitcher, Deezer, plus all the others as well. And be sure to check out the partners page. Lots of great partners over there. One of our favorites is Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. And if you can't get over there for some great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. And you can learn all about the incredible food there. And also, you can pick some up, too. In fact, they're the creators of that Italian beef sandwich 117 years ago. They officially opened up their doors in 1938 and been serving up great food ever since. Check them out at alsbeef.com if you can't get over to 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. And tell them the circus sent you. Yes! And by the way, folks, if you're just tuning in the first segment, right before the first segment there, right where just before we're getting into it, we give a trivia question for everybody listening in. Maybe you wanted to have a shot at picking up a couple of nights in fabulous Las Vegas, a couple of nights in Branson, Missouri, or 2 nights in Orlando, Florida, by answering a simple trivia question. And that trivia question, in case you missed it, is which NBA superstar has won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Our friends over at Vacation Buddies are waiting for your call, 888-576-5777. And by the way, Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with the station, but they do want to give you a couple of nights in either Vegas, Branson, or Orlando, Florida. Call them right now, 888-576-5777, and tell them the circus sent you. Yes! All right, now back to this Shohei Ohtani thing. Okay, so SI, I've got an interesting piece here. They said, well, you know, he's making history and all this other stuff. Yeah, you're okay. So he is. He is, and his numbers are showing. Yes, he leads the league in home run, slugging, total bases, OPS for a third straight year, while on pace to become the first player, 94 years, score 160 runs, and oh yeah, by the way, throwing the baseball as well. And I said, well, wait a minute. He is just like any other position player. It just so happens that he's a pitcher. And, you know, here's the interesting thing about that. So he throws in the 90-odd mile an hour, maybe even might touch 100 once in a while, whatever. It doesn't matter. The reality is this guy plays a position out there once, when he's healthy, mind you. He'll be out on the pitcher's mound maybe once every, we'll call it once a week. Once a week, something like that. You're going to average about once every 5 or 6 games, something to that effect. Well, the reality is, you take a lot of the arms around big league baseball and you say, well, okay, he's better than all these other players. I don't know about that. And I'll tell you why. First of all, yes, the guy can pitch. And frankly, I think he's a better pitcher than he is a hitter. And I'll get into that in a minute. But as I look at it, I say, okay, Ohtani is one of those guys that, well, from a hitting standpoint, he cannot get around on an up and in pitch. He can't get around it. All right. And so, look, I'm going to jump around here just a little bit, just because I can. Now, what SI has done is they actually break his swing down, and they say he's more upright as a Dodger than he was with the Angels. Okay. And so looking at his hitting, how he has evolved from hitting. Okay, so he's hit a lot more home runs. Of course, his percentage of home runs is up as a Dodger than it was playing over in Anaheim. And so you ask yourself, well, what did he do? Well, look, he's just more upright in his approach. But the reality is they say the actual setup, the changes are more subtle than drastic according to SI, but they are significant. He is now more upright, more open with his feet. His head is more turned to get both eyes on the ball, so it's easier to see. And his back elbow is slightly higher, which it's supposed to be anyway. And so here's the interesting part about it. So he's hitting the ball that's up a little bit more. The problem is he's hitting the ball out over the plate. Every big league hitter can hit that ball out over the plate, and that's why they're the best in the world. However, just because it's up, it's got to be out over the plate for this guy to hit it. However, when you bust him up and in, when they have the hot zones and the cold zones, this guy does not hit well when that pitch is up and in. I've been saying it, and if you listen to me, you know. I tell you as a former pitcher, I owned the inside part of that plate. So if it was a lefty, as a left-handed pitcher, I would bust him up and in. I would throw a two-seam fastball. The ball would tail right back in on their hands. And either there's only really a couple things that can happen here. Either number one, they're going to swing and miss. Number two, if they hit the ball, they're going to hit the ball likely straight up in the air. That's likely what's going to happen. They're going to pop the ball up. I'm going to possibly shatter their bat. But at the same time, now if they happen to put the ball in play, it's likely going to go straight up in the air, or it's going to be a 99 hopper back to the pitcher. The only way they hit that ball with any authority is if they're so far out in front of it and they end up pulling the ball about 50 feet foul. That's the issue. So the way Ohtani holds his hands, it doesn't allow him to rotate his knuckles and roll the bat over in the hitting zone. And on top of it, he's got that uppercut swing. So now you use basic geometry. Let's use plane geometry in this case, and we'll take an angle where it intersects a flat plane. All right, so for all you math people out there, you know what the hell I'm talking about. And there's only one area that ball can hit. The actual hitting zone has been shrunken down dramatically. And that's why hitting coaches have taught hitters to do what? Have a level swing. So the bat stays in the hitting zone over the plate a lot longer. And so that's the real difference. Now, Ohtani, like a lot of other guys, had this drastic uppercut swing. So that alleged launch angle, well, you're sacrificing, I guess, swings and misses or foul balls, when the reality is, if Ohtani's bat, first of all, was level in the strike zone, he would hit the ball a lot more frequently. He does strike out quite a bit. He's only hitting in the 280s, but maybe around 290. He could be a 320, 330 hitter if he had a level swing, and he would still hit the ball out of the yard. And so the bigger question is, as a leadoff hitter, do you want your leadoff hitter striking out so much? And the answer to that is real simple, no. And the Philadelphia Phillies have a problem like that with Kyle Schwarber. Schwarber is not a leadoff hitter, so you got to move him down the lineup. And so when you have power hitters that are at the top of the lineup, and they say, well, wait a minute, Ohtani steals bases. Yes, he does steal bases. But remember, the last thing you want your pitcher to do, your golden boy, you don't want him in the possibility of physical contact outside of the ball hitting the bat. That's it. You don't want your guy out there sliding into second. Now remember, in the World Series, or I think it was in the World Series. It was the World Series. So Ohtani got hurt in the World Series last year, or maybe it was the playoffs against the Mets. I don't know. The point is, he got hurt in the postseason last year, and it was doing what? Stealing a base! And so is that what you want the golden boy doing? You got $700 million wrapped up in this guy? You probably don't, because he's a good pitcher and he's a good hitter, but he could be a great hitter if he made some adjustments. So as I was saying, not to digress too much, out over the plate, yeah, he's going to hit the ball a country mile like most other big league hitters. up and in, he's not going to hit the ball. And the interesting part about Ohtani hitting is they have this alleged, what do they call it? They call it the Tropic of Ohtani. I found this kind of humorous. So they say, being Sports Illustrated, it's a key latitude for pitchers. So think of a line 2 feet off the ground defining roughly the bottom quarter of the strike zone, called the Tropic of Ohtani. To limit Ohtani's power, a pitcher must execute at this line or lower, according to Sports Illustrated. Why, they say? Ohtani is taller and he hits upright. Remember Steve Garvey? Steve Garvey hit upright, but Steve Garvey had a level swing too. Anyway, another Dodger player. So they say when he struggles, he swings at way too many low pitches before 2 strikes. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts likes Ohtani to take pitches down, even if there are strikes early in the count. So he knows Ohtani should hunt pitches where, of course, he's hitting the ball, and that's certainly not down, allegedly. So he does pitchers a big, big favor by not waiting for something even slightly elevated. And so I don't know about that because historically, left-handed hitters, they are good low ball hitters, especially low and in. Now, up and in is a different story because your hands are up there. Low and in, you can actually get the bat out in front of the plate or right out in the strike zone, and you can actually drive the ball. So lefties are very good with those low and outside pitches, and frankly, lefties are just good low ball hitters, period. Except for Ohtani. Ohtani does not hit the ball low and away either. And so his power is out over the plate. It could be middle. It's basically middle out. It's not middle in. I mean, when he's a little bit in, sure, he could turn on it. The problem is his knuckles are lined up big and little, and he can't get around fast enough, so he ends up fouling them off to the left side. And that's usually what happens. When you see a lefty foul something off to the left side, they're not getting around on it. So back with this pitching lesson and Ohtani in just a few minutes, folks, here on The Circus. Don't go anywhere. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Excellent. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time. That's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas.
Eight 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. Folks, they've been with us since the beginning. Check them out. Yes! All right, welcome back to everybody. TV, radio, you know who you are. And, of course, make sure that if you missed any part of this show, go back to the beginning because you may have a shot to win a couple of nights in Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando from our friends over at Vacation Buddies. If you answer the trivia question, go back and listen if you missed any part of this. And you can listen on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, iHeart, Stitcher, Deezer, etc., and so forth. So check that out, folks. Just go to today's date and hit today's show, and then go back to the beginning, and you can hear it right there during the first announcements. And hey, guess what? You may be traveling. You never know, folks. All right. Back to this Show Me the Money, Shohei Ohtani discussion. And I was saying that in the last segment, anybody can hit in Major League Baseball a pitch that's out over the plate, right? So you get your arms extended, and that's what you do. And that's why you're a big league player. And even the catchers that are hitting terribly, they can get their arms extended. They can take the ball over the fence just like everybody else. Now, Ohtani has a problem with hitting the ball up and in like a lot of other players do. But apparently he also has a problem with low pitches as well. And this is even, I guess, admittedly from Dave Roberts, the manager. And Sports Illustrated had said Dodgers manager Dave Roberts likes Ohtani to take pitches down even if there's strikes early in the account. So what does that mean? It means that you could throw a slider down and he's not going to touch it likely. You could throw an off-speed pitch down right over the plate, towards the bottom of the plate. He's not going to touch it. You can get away with a fastball low and in, and likely he's not going to touch it according to this. And what's interesting is you look at his numbers. You say Ohtani versus the high strike. So 2018 to 2021, out of 759 pitches, 12 were homers, slugging .500, and Major League rank 86. Now, for the last few years, number of pitches, 1,107, 37 home runs, mind you, for the high strike, slugging .807, slugging rank number 1. So there might be something to this, and I'm okay with that because some of these analytical numbers, they work. And his average, according to this Tropic of Ohtani, according to Sports Illustrated, they say above that line, the upper half of the strike zone, he's hitting .323, slugging .709, and below in the lower half of the strike zone, he's hitting .192, slugging less than half of what he's slugging up above. So people say, well, he's just a better high ball hitter, which is sort of an anomaly in the lefty-righty world because most lefties, as I said in the last segment, are better low ball hitters. But he's so upright, and so that forces him to do what? To uppercut. And so therefore, his hitting area is likely going to be in the middle up area. Now, if you look at anybody that swings in this manner with height that stands upright, this is kind of what they do. And so you can look at his numbers and say, oh, well, he's doing great compared to guys like, I don't know, some of the other great players, whatnot, right? So Willie Mays and Mike Trout, and through 945 games, they ran a comparison on SI and said Willie Mays through 945 games had 221 home runs, where Ohtani had 250. Both had the same amount of stolen bases, but Willie Mays played in an era where the bags were smaller and the pitchers could make as many moves to first base as they want to. And now, by the way, Willie Mays also had 37 more triples. 37, folks. That's a lot of triples. And Willie Mays clearly, and I mean clearly, a better player. Extra base hits, 2 less than Ohtani, but 37 triples more? That's insane. Now you compare Ohtani to Mike Trout. And Mike Trout has, through those 945 games, he has 43 less homers, but he also has, 11 more stolen bases, and most of those are with the smaller bases as well. And he also has 25 more doubles as well, and about the same amount of triples, and about the same amount of extra base hits. So is Ohtani better than Mike Trout? I don't think so, because Mike Trout, well, when he's not injured, Mike Trout plays a position, and he is one of the best in baseball when he's playing out there, period. Problem is he's on the DL every year, or now they call it the injured list, whatever it is. Now compare Mike Trout to Willie Mays. So they have, Trout has 14 less home runs in those 945 games, but he still has 9 more stolen bases, and he actually has, 35 more doubles than Willie Mays. However, Mays has 38 more triples, and Mays has 17 more extra base hits. So I can see the comparison why they did it. But here, let's take a look at Ohtani pitch by pitch. When it comes to fastballs and his home runs, most of his homers were hit off fastballs. Why? Because the pitcher left it out over the plate and they threw a flat fastball. It doesn't matter if they're throwing 100 miles an hour. A flat fastball is a flat fastball, meaning it's not moving. It's a four-seam fastball. Let's just rear back and throw it as fast as we can. And I would argue that movement is way more valuable than velocity. So let's go down to just breaking balls. Just say curveballs, for example. So the breaking balls, maybe that's grouped into sliders and curveballs. So those, actually, they could be a combination of anything else. Anyway, so Ohtani's hit 81 homers, but 32.4% of those out of his total were off of breaking balls, and pitch percentage 29%, which is a big differential of over double. Now his off-speed pitch count, he's only hit 33 homers off-speed pitches, and that's only 13% of his homers or 18% of the pitches. And his differential is a big fat -5. So the reality is this guy does not hit off-speed pitches very well. And when you go to the bigs, you've got to be able to dial it up and hit a fastball. You've got to be able to do it. Now, if you can't hit a fastball, then you can't play big league baseball. But what sets them apart is when you can hit that off-speed pitch. Now, Mike Trout is really good at hitting off-speed pitches. Why are we saying Mike Trout? Because we just had him in a comparison from SI in this previous section here. And Mike Trout knows how to hit an off-speed pitch, and he can hit it a country mile just as well. And so the big reality is that, all right, you take a guy like Mike and you say, can he hit the off-speed? Yes. Can he hit the fastball? Yes. He's balanced across the board. This guy's a dangerous hitter. And when you think of dangerous hitters, what do you think of? Vladimir Guerrero, because, I mean, geez, if it's out of the strike zone, Vladdy's going to probably hit it deep. And that's the crazy part about some of these hitters. Baseball's a funny game where certain guys, like me, I was one of those guys that I look for everything outside of the strike zone because I knew if it was going to be in the strike zone, chances are it's not where I want to hit it anyway because I was a free swinger, but not really a good one, if you know what I mean. But generally speaking, when you watch hitters and you watch their tendencies, it's the guys that swing a level bat are the ones that I'm most fearful of because those are the guys that could spray the ball. They're not hitting in a very particular plane. They're not trying to pull everything. And, I got into this discussion with Bobby Valentine about Ohtani's hitting. And Bobby didn't like it because Bobby he does the pregame, postgame for Anaheim or Los Angeles Angels, Anaheim, whatever the hell it is, right? So the LA Angels. So Bobby does the pregame, postgame. He's a long time baseball pro. And so I was saying, with Ohtani, why don't you just bust him inside, up and in, give him a steady diet of up and in, and the guy couldn't even hit his weight. He goes, well, that's how much you know about baseball. I'm like, yeah, I know. I can't say I know as much as you, but I sure as hell know a lot about baseball. And I know damn well that guy can't get his hands around because of the way he holds his bat. Now, unless Ohtani shifts his bat and he rotates his knuckles a little bit different when he's in the box, and if I see him line up big and big, now I'm going to pitch him low and away. Because I know when you move your knuckles to big and big, you can't extend out. You can, but what happens is, if you do this in your car or at home, whatever you're listening to this show, if you rotate your knuckles to big and big, I'm doing it right now, and you try to swing, what happens is the bat rolls over in the strike zone, which is great news. So you get faster bat speed through the strike zone, but it also shortens the distance. So that means you got to crowd the plate a little bit. So if you do that, if you crowd the plate, yeah, you can get around on the inside pitch, but you also have a harder time extending the bat because your hands just don't work that way. God didn't make our hands that way. And so those that line up big and big have a harder time with outside pitches. So now you could throw the ball low and away, and even if you hit the corner, Ohtani's likely not going to hit it like a lot of other big league hitters. A lot of it depends on if they're diving across the plate when they swing, or they're staying with a nice steady stride or very little stride. And that's something that they work on in spring training and the offseason and winter ball when they put a chain between your feet so you don't stride that far. I mean, there's so many mechanics to this, but I have to say that there's a lot going on, and I'm going to finish up with Ohtani and get into some of these hitter-friendly parks when we come back here, folks. Lots more to come here on The Circus. Don't go anywhere.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare.
Were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
Your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer. Call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out the sportscircus.com and the store. There's a store tab right across the top, and check that out. Lots of great items from hats, hoodies, t-shirts, sweatpants, coats, coffee mugs, travel mugs, pillows, mouse pads, you name it. All kinds of great goods that are American made. And you can have with the Sports Circus logo either embroidered or silkscreen on. I have to tell you, folks, there's some really cool stuff there. And I've got some myself here, even a mic flag and a microphone, one of those foam covery thingies. It's pretty cool, folks. Anyway, lots of great items at the sportscircus.com's store. A shameless plug, of course, for the circus. And, of course, if you mention my name, Ringmaster Sal, you'll get an extra 10% off. So make sure you do it. Yes! All right, welcome back to everybody. TV, radio, you know who you are. Everybody streaming also. Thanks for joining us. On Chicago Food Favorites as well on Facebook. Again, folks, make sure you check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Have some fun. Post your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Make some friends. And just don't spam the page because I'll have to block you. And really, that's not really fun now, is it? All right, back with this. I'm going to finish up with this Ohtani thing. And look, Ohtani's a good player, and I've got a whole bunch of his rookie baseball cards like a lot of other collectors do. I want him to do great just because it'll drive the value of the cards. The discussion of baseball cards and value, boy, that's a real sore spot with me because I don't necessarily believe in grading the cards. Look, this is my personal collection. I have a lot of cards that I just keep for myself, and I've been collecting since I was a little kid, just like a lot of other people around the world. We collect cards, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, tennis, MMA cards. Now there's all kinds of neat cards. There's comic cards, which I seem to like those, and they've been around for a very long time. And so if it's a personal collection, is it really necessary to go get them graded? No, I think it is if you're selling the cards. And that's the one thing that I think that has absolutely ruined the hobby. That's right, I'm booing you. For all those people that have to go out and get everything graded because, oh, it's good for the hobby. No, it's not. It's not good for the hobby. The people that are making money on that is the grading companies. Because if you don't have a 10, if you're not grading at a 10, well, let's face it, the value has been determined based on the alleged grade. And we know some of those companies, I can't name them because I don't want to have a problem with them, but those companies are conveniently grading at certain numbers because they're doing something called population control. So, and I have a couple of Ohtani 10s that I acquired from other people, but I also have an Ohtani 9.5, whatever, and a 9. The point is, folks, the dramatic drop-off between a 10 and a 9 is somewhere around 60 to 70% in value. Now, if you have a raw card, and it's just something for your own collection, most of my Ohtanis are raw cards, just like my Mike Trout rookies and all these others, and all the way back to the 1952 Mickey Mantle. You know, same thing. I'm not going to go ahead and get those things graded. No, it's just my cards. And they say, well, you know, the guy can end up hitting 500 home runs. Well, I mean, what are the chances of him hitting 500? According to the SI, Ohtani is the 65th hitter to reach 250 home runs by age 30, and 8 are still active. Ohtani, Arenado, Betts, Harper, Machado, Matt Olson, Giancarlo Stanton, and Mike Trout. Now, of the 57 retired players who reached 250 by 30, only 24 of them hit another 250. That's only 42% of the young sluggers who get halfway there by age 30 who make the 500 club. And I don't know if some of these other guys are going to do it. I mean, Freddie Freeman, I don't think Freddie's going to do it. Freddie's getting older, and he's in the mid 300s, if I'm not mistaken, closer to 400. But I don't know if Freddie's got enough gas in the tank to do it. I like Freddie. Freddie's a good guy. He's one of the good guys in there. But out of those under 30 members of the 250 club who finished with the fewer home runs were Prince Fielder and Jay Bruce, 319. Troy Gloss from the Angels, and Justin Upton, of course, with the Angels as well, 325. The biggest head start from those came by Andrew Jones, 368 by age 30, and Juan Gonzalez, 362, and Adam Dunn, 354. So among players who get halfway to 500 by 30, more players fall short than get into the 500 club. Now, with the juice baseballs, I would imagine most of the guys that are in this, out of the 8 that I mentioned earlier, are probably going to get in there because they're hitting balls seemingly that are wound tighter, and they call those live balls, if you will. Yes, it's a live ball. Whatever. It's not a live ball. It's a juice ball. So anyway, Ohtani, on the road towards 500, whatever, like everybody else. But what I find interesting about this is I started talking a little bit about Ohtani's arm and his position out in the field. And I've been jumping all over the place because I can. But what I find interesting is, the guy plays a position basically once a week. Well, you take a guy like Ellie De La Cruz. Ellie plays shortstop. Ellie also is a home run machine. He is an extra base hit machine. He's a stolen base machine. He is arguably the most exciting player in baseball. That's the guy that stole 3 bases on 3 pitches. In fact, Topps even put out a special card for him for doing it. But the reality is, even Ellie De La Cruz can throw nearly 100 miles an hour from shortstop over to first. He's been clocked in the high 90s and whatnot. And a lot of the players out in the field, they do the same thing. And, here's an interesting thing in case you don't know. The strongest arm on the field, almost in every park, just about in every game, believe it or not, are the catchers. That's right, the catchers. There's something in case you didn't know. Now you do know. But I find it interesting because they say, well, Ohtani, he's the best player in the league. No, he's not. He's not. Maybe, like, if he's out there hitting and pitching, he pitches a full game and he's hitting leadoff. Yeah, I think Ohtani really should be a 3-hole hitter. And that really would make a little bit more sense to me. But then again, I'm not Dave Roberts and I'm not managing that team in L.A., which I think he's made mistakes with the team, but it doesn't matter what I think. But I also think about those hitter-friendly parks. And so one of the unique bits about this is the game isn't always played in the same conditions, unlike football, baseball, basketball, hockey, whatever, or football, basketball, hockey, and some of the others. The dimensions of the playing field are different in different stadiums. Now you have air is heavier in some and so forth. And look, the ball hit the same distance, could be a home run in one, but of course not in the other. I mean, you look at the short porch out there in Yankee Stadium or in Boston, and you take that same, we'll call it 300-foot shot down, I think it's 308 feet, thereabouts, whatever, 300 feet down the Fenway Park. Well, guess what? That same shot in Chicago at either Wrigley Field or at, I guess they call it Wright Field now, whatever, Old Comiskey Park. I mean, it's 330, 340, and back in the day it was like 350 down the line. And so that's exactly what USA Today was talking about when they're not all the same dimensions here. And so, of course, teams have different factors in the parks too. So some are more pitcher-friendly, some are more hitter-friendly. And in some places, when you've got a good catcher in that particular home team, they're going to leave the grass grow a little bit longer. So those bunts, they die and the ball doesn't roll. And so the catcher can get to those balls a little bit faster. As there's a whole lot of stuff that StatCast doesn't actually pick up. But StatCast does pick up the old park factor. And the most practical way to gauge a ballpark's effect on pitching is by looking at the old park factor. Of course, they say it's the simplest form. Park factor is determined by comparing the cumulative stat of players from games in that park versus the stat of the same players playing in games in other parks. That kind of makes a little sense. So to get a single park factor, the results are scaled to a league average of 100. So the higher the park factor, the more hitter-friendly the stadium. Conversely, of course, the lower, the tougher it is. And so according to USA Today, they have all kinds of these statistics, and they said, as a matter of fact, using a rolling 3-year average, T-Mobile Park in Seattle, home of the Mariners, is the most pitcher-friendly venue in the majors. And its park factor is 91, means from 2023 to 2025, total offense output in games played in Seattle has been 9% below the major league average. And so they complain about that. Remember, they used to complain in Baltimore until they moved the fences in, but then they moved the fences out, and the Yankees hitters started complaining about Baltimore having their fences so far out now because they're used to hitting in a very, very friendly park. So the 5 lowest overall park factors, so T-Mobile in Seattle is one of the tougher ones. Ironically, they put Wrigley Field up there because Wrigley, when the wind blows in, let me tell you something, it is tough hitting into the wind. Oracle Park in San Francisco, it's a very tough one. Not a lot of home runs hit there, even with the addition of Rafi Devers. Rafi's going to have a little bit of tough sledding over there. Of course, the Milwaukee Brewers, that's another tough one. It's not a hitter-friendly park. And just like where the Mets play in Citi Field, in fact, that allegedly is one of the toughest ones. Now, Progressive Field over in Cleveland also has a park factor the same as Citi Field, but ranks percentage points below Citi Field. So basically, it's a tough stadium technically to hit the ball out of. Now, rounding out the top 10, of course, is Comerica for the Tigers, the Rangers, I'm not going to say the sponsors' names, the Padres, and the White Sox. So the toughest parks for home runs. Yeah, I mean, so you get that feel. Now, the 5 lowest park factors, basically the easiest parks, are not what you would think, because that would be Pittsburgh, PNC Park. Somehow Oracle Park in San Francisco makes it in there on both ends. Kauffman Stadium is very hitter-friendly. Cleveland, again, is one of those ones that I don't know how they make it on both sides. And they say Chase Field over in Arizona is one of the easiest parks to hit the ball out of, along with Busch Stadium, where the Cardinals play, Fenway Park, and, of course, even where the Marlins play. Ironically, the Tigers and the Cubs, too, because that's wind-driven. That's why they can be on both sides of it. So I find that actually very interesting. How about those parks where basically you've got the temporary minor league parks being in use? So where the Athletics play, they have, well, second in the majors, overall park factor 112. Now, you want to talk about a tough park to hit the ball out of. That's the one. And the one down in Tampa, it's really hard as well. They're actually ranked 100, or basically 13th. So the A's, just like when they were playing in Oakland, they have a similar problem. It's just hard to hit it out of, but they've got some guys that can absolutely barrel that ball up. And watch out. I mean, the A's are going to be really, really good in the next few years. I mean, they're building up. They got loads of talent there. And so when they become the Las Vegas Athletics, watch out. Those guys are going to be contenders, and they're going to be ready to take over the American League West just in time for the new stadium and the new dome here in Las Vegas, and they'll be able to hit the ball out because it's going to have the same elements likely as they do in Arizona, which is a very hitter-friendly park. And the ball, I think, is going to fly out of the yard in Vegas on the old site of the historic Tropicana Hotel and Casino. Well, that's going to do it for today's show, folks. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. We're going to see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.